Well, good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Richard Cruz, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Major Shane Mackay. We warmly welcome the family of Private Douglas Arthur Bowman, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the members of Army Indigenous Development Program and Indigenous Pre-Recruitment Program from Kapuka, who are joining us for the ceremony this evening. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial, as well as students from the Australian Islamic College of Sydney, New South Wales. I invite you all to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. If you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's first World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Douglas Arthur Bowman. Douglas Arthur Bowman, known as Dougie, to his family and his friends, was born on the 25th of July 1916 to Martha and John Bowman of Galnair, South Australia. Bowman attended the local Galnair primary school and later worked as a farmer. He was a popular member of the local community, described as being highly esteemed by a large circle of friends. Bowman enlisted into the 2nd Australian Imperial Force in October 1939, just weeks after the outbreak of Second World War. In November, he joined the 2nd 10th Infantry Battalion. With this unit, he trained at Woodside in the Adelaide Hills and then in New South Wales. On the 5th of May 1940, Bowman and the 2nd 10th Battalion embarked from Sydney, destined for the war in the Middle East. However, following the fall of France, they were redirected to the United Kingdom, where they were to bolster defences in the case of a German invasion. In November, they transferred to North Africa and arrived at Tobruk in April, just days before the important port came under heavy German attack and eventually an 8-month-long siege. The besieged Allied troops at Tobruk survived in appalling conditions under constant German attack. One of Bowman's comrades described him as a great mate under such trying conditions in Tobruk. On very light dry rations, not enough water to drink, no wash or shave for several weeks. To put up with such conditions, such great mates like Doug Bowman helps a lot. On the 17th of July 1941, Bowman was severely wounded by a gunshot wound to both of his legs and was evacuated to hospital. He did not rejoin his unit until October. In early 1942, Bowman and his unit transferred from the Middle East and North Africa to Papua New Guinea, eventually arriving at Milne Bay on the southeastern tip of the New Guinea mainland. On the 25th of August, Japanese forces launched a large amphibious assault at Milne Bay in an attempt to establish a base from which to support an overland attack on Port Moresby. Bowman's 2nd 10th Battalion, newly arrived from desert fighting conditions of North Africa, were under strength and ill-equipped for the humid and rainy jungle conditions. Bowman helped to operate a Bren gun in this battle, and during the attack by Japanese Marines, aided by light tanks, he received a gunshot wound to his right arm. Despite his injury, he led a group of Australian soldiers as they sought to get back to the Allied base and avoid enemy patrols. Michael O'Brien, who fought with Bowman at Milne Bay, later wrote, "Bowman was one of those tough, weary mates, worth a dozen of some men, a great mate in a tight corner. We had a rough 4 days trip back to Milne Bay. If we could have gone back the way we had come in, it would have been less than 4 hours. We climbed a steep mountain. This climbing used up a lot of your energy. Our legs dragged like weights of lead." They did eventually reach safety, and Bowman went to hospital for treatment for the gunshot wound he had sustained days before. His injuries were so severe that he was sent to hospital in Queensland and did not return to the war until November 1942. While in Australia, Bowman escaped from hospital and attempted to visit his sick mother in South Australia. He was caught by the military police and fined for being away without leave. In September 1942, Bowman wrote to his mother about the incident. He also stated, "Lindsay asks how I managed to have so many narrow escapes, but I don't think I can find a suitable answer. Perhaps it's because only good men die young." Almost 3 months later, at the age of 26, Private Bowman was killed in action as the 2nd 10th Battalion attacked Japanese forces at Buna, a village on the north coast of New Guinea. He now lies in the Port Moresby Bowmana War Cemetery, where his gravestone reads, "His duty nobly done." His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Douglas Arthur Bowman, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
If you're able, please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys and students, that concludes this evening's last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.